Welcome to the 209 Journey podcast. I'm your host, Luis. And before I introduce my special guest tonight, just a quick reminder if you haven't followed the podcast on social media yet, please give it a follow at the 209 Journey on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, I've been saying this for a while, so sorry if I sound like a broken record here, but trying to get to 1,000 followers. I just passed the 650 follower mark, so getting there, and my goal is to get there by the end of the year, and so I think it's looking pretty good thus far. I think I'm gonna get there in a matter maybe of like 2 or 3 months here. But also check us out on YouTube. I do put all the videos that I'm actually recording here on there, also on Facebook as well, but particularly on YouTube. If you can go on there, subscribe if you haven't yet, so you can find out when new episodes get posted. Every time that I post a new video on there, I always do the premiere feature, and new videos get posted at different hours. I sadly haven't been too consistent with the specific hour that I post them. Sometimes they're later at night, sometimes they're in the morning. But if you're subscribed, it should give you a notification once a new video is up. And then if you attend the premiere, you can actually chat with other people as the episode is going. And of course, if you can't make it, it'll still be saved there on the YouTube channel or also on Facebook if you prefer to watch it on Facebook. But of course, if you prefer to listen to this, it is a podcast as well. You can listen to it wherever you find your podcast or at the 209journey.com, the website for this podcast, where you can also watch the videos, or you can also contact me on there if you have a suggestion for a guest, or if maybe you yourself want to be on the podcast. You can fill the form out, share your story, what you have going on, and then I'll reach out back to you there as well. Again, that's on the 209journey.com. All right. Well, my special guest today owns a allergy and wellness center in Stockton called Valley Allergy and Wellness. So we'll be talking all about all the different things that she does there, as well as how it all got started and more as well. So let me go ahead and introduce Deborah Chan to the 209 Journey. How are you, Deborah? Welcome.
Hi, Luis. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for accepting the invitation. Shout out to Nico for referring you to be on the podcast. I always appreciate those referrals, so thank you, Nico, for the referral. And there's more referrals that he did as well. So I'll be I'll be giving him a shout out in other episodes as well. But yeah, thank you for accepting.
Thank you.
So before we talk about your journey into the allergy and like wellness center and all that, I want to talk about what it was like for you to grow up in Stockton. You were telling me that you were born and raised in Stockton. So just tell me what it's been like and just how it's changed over time.
Yeah, so I actually grew up just with an older brother as myself. I have an older brother with Down syndrome. And I went to just a very small private school from middle school all the way to, or sorry, preschool all the way to eighth grade. And then I ended up going to St. Mary's for high school. Stockton it gets a lot of negative connotations, but overall, like I love being here. I've never really left. So I've just been here all my life.
Yeah, and I think that speaks a lot, right, for anyone who tries to, like put down any city, town, wherever it might be, not just here in our area code and all that, but when you see people that have lived there all their lives and into adulthood, and you still stayed there, right, because you could have like easily moved
Yeah,
anywhere else. I think that says a lot, and people forget
right.
often to, I think, realize, all the people that are in your situation, right, and
Mhm.
just that should be a clear indication that it's all just I'm not saying that things never happen anywhere, right? But it's all, I think it's just all exaggerated, right? And just overgeneralized, and then people just feel a certain way when it's not really like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to know a little bit more about where you got your interest in the wellness area, right? I know you have the center, and before we talk about how you started that, just tell me how you got your interest in overall just the well-being.
Yeah, so it really started with my mom's cancer journey. So she was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 4, and she initially didn't want to do chemo. She wanted to do a very holistic, natural route. And so she kind of did some research. She went to like a local center that does detoxification. It was a 10-day retreat. And so she went and did that, had really great results. She definitely saw a decrease in the number of cancer cells that were in her body. So she wanted to go again, and she wanted me to go with her. So I was like, I'm not really interested. I don't really want to go. But she really, pleaded with me to go with her. So I was like, all right, I'll go and I'll check it out. If anything, it's just a 10-day retreat. We can just hang out and just enjoy ourselves. And it was at this, it was a detoxification center, but not the kind for like drugs or alcohol, but like whole body type of detoxification. And so I went with her, and part of that program has you, drinking fresh juices every day, taking herbs to flush out the colon, doing sauna, massage, exercise. So it's, a very whole body approach. There's a spiritual aspect to it as well. And also a teaching aspect to it, where they kind of teach you how to live this lifestyle. So we talked about different herbs. We talked about just food in general, using that as medicine. And so it really just opened up my eyes to a new way of healing the body. So that was pretty much my first introduction to holistic care.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people, I think, get skeptical, right, about holistic care, and I'm glad that like you're out there and educating people that hey, like it really does work as well, right? It's not always about the medicines that you get prescribed, right? Because we know there's a lot of side effects and allergies. Just to
Mm-hmm.
mention the allergy aspect of it too. So yeah, there's a lot with that. Now, in terms of how you got the center started, how was the journey between you learning more through going through those 10 days with your mom, and then opening the center? Like what happened in between that motivated you to also start your own place here in Stockton?
Yeah, so it was actually a long journey getting here. So after that experience, I was still in my 19, I think I was 19 at the time. So I was going to Delta doing just like general ed, and I was supposed to transfer to San Jose State to get into undergo their occupational therapy program. But with my mom, she actually ended up having really great results following the second 10-day detoxification retreat. But eventually she kind of just started going back into her old lifestyle, eating certain foods. Her diet just kind of went back to what it was before she got cancer. And so it eventually ended up coming back to where she got really sick. So we focused a lot going back to some more holistic care. We tried, Chinese medicine, foot reflexology, just different things in addition to chemotherapy. So because she got so sick and because she needed so much care, I ended up deferring going to San Jose State and ended up just taking care of her. And then I started to take some classes for holistic health, just online, since that's what fit my lifestyle at that time. And when I finished and I graduated, I actually ended up starting to work for the state of California. So I didn't initially go the route of opening up my own center or place, or at the time, my goal was to become more of a health consultant. And so, really why I started with the state was because I had just gotten engaged. I just needed a stable income to pay for my wedding. So ended up signing on there, and I worked there for the last, or for 14 years before I started to open up my own place. And I actually didn't know I was going to open up my own clinic. It was actually it's a God story, is all I can really say. But I ended up just being really unhappy the last, I'd say 5-6 years working for the state, because I just wasn't doing something I was passionate about. I was in software support, and it's just not something that really generally excites me. So I just knew that there was something missing, that I was just lacking a lot of purpose and joy in, just living and working in my purpose. So I went through a bit of stress with a new boss and just different projects that were going on. And I just came to a point where I was just having so much anxiety
Mhm.
going to work that I just couldn't. So I took some time off, and it was kind of during that period that I just had this moment of like, I think I need to leave, but I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was gonna be doing next,
Mm.
and I actually when I decided to quit, I actually thought, "Okay, I'm just gonna take a few months off, hang out with my kids for the summer, and by the fall, I'll look for something else with the state." So, I quit my job in June of 2022. Yeah, 2022. By July, I had tried BIE, which is what I practice. It stands for Bioenergetic Intolerance Elimination. So I tried it out because I'm always into new modalities and
Mm.
therapies, and I had an allergy that I wanted to get taken care of. So let me back it up a little bit, actually. So I actually was starting to dream again, trying to figure out, okay, maybe I don't have to go back with the state. Maybe I can do something that actually brings me joy, because that's what's been missing.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, what do I really love? What am I really passionate about? Well, I really love cats. So I was like, well, maybe I could open up like a cute cat hotel, because, my husband and we travel a lot. Our family travels a lot, and we always have to board our cats. And the place we board them also boards dogs, and it's just kind of noisy, and it's just not a relaxing place for them. So I was like, okay, maybe I could do something like that. But I actually have a cat allergy.
Oh, no.
So I was like, all right, well, I think if I'm going to work with cats on that level, I do have cats of my own, by the way. I was like, well, I probably should fix this. So I had heard about BIE through my chiropractor, and there wasn't a practitioner here locally that was practicing. So I ended up going to LA to try
Huh.
it out. And once I tried it, I was just so blown away by it, because it's just so simple and it works. And after just one session, I just fell in love with the whole process and the procedure. And so I just started getting curious about it, and just, trying to decide, like, maybe this is something I could do. It kind of fits, a lot of things that I love. But of course, anytime you want to start something new, there's just so much self doubt. And I wrestled with it for 2 weeks, just not knowing, if I should pursue it or not. And I think God knew that I wasn't going to move. And so I ended up having a dream, and there's nothing that I can remember about the dream other than this, what I just woke up just knowing. It was just a knowing that, yes, you need to pursue this. It was a peace over it that I didn't have before. So I ended up saying, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this. So I ended up, contacting the institute, and there was a few more classes that I needed to take. So by August, so remember, I quit in June, found BIE in July. By August, I went back to school to take additional classes, and by November, I was in Canada getting my training and my certification to practice BIE. So that was November of 2022. By January of 2023, I was signing the lease to my office. So within 6 months, I went from quitting my job, not having any plan, not knowing what I was going to do, to now opening up my own clinic, which is, nothing short of just a miracle, I think, from God. I know it wasn't by my hand that I got here, especially not within 6 months. Like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I couldn't do what I was doing anymore. And I just wanted to be obedient to God, because I knew that there was something more for me. That's all I could tell. I didn't know what, but I knew that there was something more.
Yeah, and you followed your passion, which is really awesome to hear because anytime I hear anyone who owns a business that does that, it's great. But I know you take a risk. You took it's not easy leaving, especially with the state, right? And those kinds of
Yeah.
jobs and all that. But there's a reason for everything, right? I'm glad that you didn't have to wait too long.
Yeah,
Right.
it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because I was 14 years in, so 6 more years and you get medically vested. I mean, those are really amazing benefits. The income is stable, it's like every Asian parent's dream for their kids to start working for their government, it's just that's really how I got into it too, is my parents both worked in government. They worked for San Joaquin County. So they were like, that's where, you should be. That's the kind of job that you should have, because it's stable, it's secure, and there's a whole lot of really great benefits to it. But even, during the period where I was like, thinking like, oh, I'm going to go back to the state, as I was kind of browsing just the different jobs that were out there, I was like, there's literally nothing that I want to do. Like nothing sparked any sort of joy or interest. So I was like, I don't even know if that's even the right direction for me.
Oh yeah. No, you gotta love what you do for sure, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's something you're gonna do for a long time until retirement. So
Yeah.
it's difficult, and I'm sure for your parents, they were doubtful maybe at first, right? Because I know that's a lot of parents out there, right, that have high expectations. I certainly
Yes.
know on the Hispanic side as well that you leave a job and then they're like questioning you left and right if that's the right decision, right?
Right. I was terrified to tell my dad. He was actually like the last person I told, when it came to like, I quit my job. And, again, it's like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, right, to quit a job and have nothing lined up. And even, as I had put in my notice, my coworkers like, where are you going? Because a lot of people, especially if you work for the state, you usually leave for another state agency. And I was like, nowhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna take some time off and spend some time with my kids. And yeah, it's people are like, is your husband rich or something? And I'm like, no, because really it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but years go on, and again, you could go back and be like, I took a risk, and this is why, and hey, we're down. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
why I left out. You did have a job lined up. It's just you got to make it happen, but but it happened. Uh, well, you talk about BIE, and it's certainly something new for me because I'm not as like familiar with all these like medical terminologies and all that. But can you like explain more of like what that entails and what's the process of that?
Yeah, so BIE again stands for bioenergetic intolerance elimination. So, really, what I do is I help the body recognize things that it currently doesn't recognize that is causing a negative reaction. So, that could be like an allergy to seasonal allergens, it can be pet allergies, it can be a food intolerance, it can be skin issues, digestive issues, hormones. So, basically, what an allergy or an intolerance is something that your body doesn't recognize. So, my job is to get your body to recognize it. So, I use energetic frequencies to help your body to recognize that substance. So, in the case of, let's say, like a peanut allergy, so we wouldn't necessarily expose a client to a peanut, right? Especially if they're anaphylactic or, highly allergic to that substance. We only need to introduce the frequency of the peanut to the body so that the body can then recognize and say, oh, that's peanut, and then no longer produce a negative reaction. So it may take a few sessions depending on how great or severe the intolerance is, but over time, your body should recognize that substance and no longer have the reaction.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a great way, right? Especially so people don't have to depend on all these like allergy medicine pills, which I know have like skyrocketed in price year by
Yes.
year, and it's a lot. It's a lot of money
Yes.
that goes through
And
that.
and the thing with that is that it's only treating the symptom. So it's not really treating the root cause. So it's, BIE is really more of a root cause solution. It's figuring out what is causing your reaction or your symptoms and then balancing the body. So I do use a machine. It's called the GSR 120, and it basically whatever I put on top of it has a plate on top. Anything that I put on top of that plate, it will then run an electrical current through it, measure the vibrations of whatever substances are on top, and then translate it into electrical impulses. So that's the language of the body. Your body runs on electrical impulses. So we're using the frequency of a substance. So, generally, one thing to know is that everything has an energetic frequency to it, like a unique fingerprint, so to speak. And what a frequency is, it's just a very low vibration. It's not something you can detect, right? But everything vibrates on a certain level. So again, we don't necessarily need to use peanut, or let's say for another person it's dairy, or a shellfish that they're allergic to. We just need the frequency of that to balance the body. So it's kind of like working with the body's software, so to speak. So you've got your hardware, which is your skin, your bones, your organs, everything you can see, touch, and feel. But you also have a software that kind of operates everything. So what I'm working with is your body's software. So I'm almost like hitting the reset button on your body to say, this is peanut. And we may have to, reboot a few times in order for it to remember, but eventually it should remember what that substance is and recognize it, so it's not causing the negative reaction.
And would you say, are there like certain allergies that take like more sessions than others, or is it like on a person by person basis, or like is there a correlation between like the type of like allergy or the type of thing that you're trying to treat?
Yeah, so anything with that's like an anaphylactic type of stressor, like if you're highly allergic to peanuts and you would need an EpiPen to stop that allergic reaction, that is a minimum 4 sessions. So certain things, yeah, it will take a little bit more time for your body to normalize to something. But yeah, everyone is a little bit different. But generally, for something that you would have an anaphylactic reaction to, it's a minimum of 4 sessions.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And
interesting.
then, of course, you have to be followed by your doctor. If you're going to have that substance again, you also want to make sure you go to your doctor's office and do a food challenge test so that staff are ready and, standing by to treat you if you need to.
Oh yeah, yeah. You definitely need to be close to them too. I had a friend that had a peanut allergy, and I had never been with anyone that had an allergy and seen their reaction, and it's pretty intense. So for sure,
Scary.
you need
Yeah, it's really scary.
you need that. Is that usually like the typical thing that people do? Like do they schedule an appointment with the doctor and then like they eat like I guess they get exposed to the substance and then they kind of like hang around at like the doctor's office? Is that usually what happens?
Yeah, so I actually myself suffered from seasonal allergies. So before I was doing this, I was actually doing allergy injections myself for 3 years. So what allergy injections entail, they basically will do a scratch test. Well, they'll inject small amounts of various substances into your skin to see what, if you're having a reaction to that substance. Then they kind of, make a compilation like a serum of all of the things that you're allergic to, and they will inject it into your body so that your body over time can develop like a tolerance to it. So with BIE, we're not raising the body's tolerance, to the substance at all. We're actually telling the body, this is what this is, and this is no longer harmful to you. So actually, I'm not even telling the body that. Your body is determining that. So when we introduce a frequency to the body, it can then determine whether it's truly harmful or not. So, how does your body know that something like, an apple is good for you versus mercury? We all know mercury is bad for you, right? When we introduce the frequency of mercury to the body, your body's not going to look at that and then say, oh, that's good for me, I'm going to continue storing this. Your body will actually recognize that this is harmful and it will release it from the cells. It will detoxify that from the cells. And it really, to me, this is my belief, is that, God created our bodies. So he put that programming, that intelligence in your body to know that. So again, we introduce the frequency, your body does what it does with it, does what it needs to. If it's something that's not harmful, it will say, oh, okay, that's apple, or that's milk, or that's a peanut. versus something else that could be harmful. So we can even get the body to detoxify from heavy metals or just other substances that are harmful.
Okay. Yeah. No, yeah, it's amazing how the body works, right? And knowing
Yeah.
what's good and what's not. But I'm really thankful that like our bodies work that way because it would be I don't even know how things would be like if it couldn't identify or it just identified everything as being the same, right?
Yeah, yeah, the body's amazing. It does so much for us. It carries us through so much, and it comes in contact with so many things every single day. So it's always your immune system was working all the time. And that's, maybe another thing I should explain too is how we develop these allergies or these intolerances in the first place. It's really related to what we believe is stress. So when your body is stressed, it doesn't understand what is causing that stress. So anything you're eating, you're drinking, you're breathing in, even hormones and enzymes that your body is producing within the body can all be subject to your body saying, well, I don't know what that is, so I'm going to block it. So in the future, really what your body's job is to protect you. So underneath our awareness, that's what our body does. So, when it sees a substance as harmful, it raises the alarm. That's kind of how our immune system works. So let's just say in the example of a grass allergy, every time you're at the park or anytime your neighbor mows the lawn, you have this big reaction. Well, really, your cells are seeing that grass as being the enemy. So then, your body naturally will release substances like histamine to, increase the blood vessels so that now you get these reactions, these runny nose, the itchy eyes, like it's trying to get rid of that substance in your body.
Oh yeah, it's understandable. Yeah, well, really insightful. I'm like learning so much right now from you too, which is really great. And I'm sure the people listening right now are watching as well, or are getting a lot of insightful knowledge. Now, based on that, I want to know maybe some of the listeners too might even start calling you now, or maybe even like head down to the center. But you should probably call before, right, and schedule an appointment. Um, Tell us more about like what it's like to have that like first patient experience. Do you call? Do you set up the appointment, and then what's the first like appointment like?
Yeah, so I really try to make the space very warm and very inviting. And so I know with, the current medical system, the way it's set up, I mean, there's not a lot of time, for you to have with your doctor to really dialogue and talk. So, I really take time to sit down and hear what's going on, hear people's backgrounds. If, there was a few things that led up to where they are, usually that is the case, some type of stressful event, not always, but, some people don't always make that connection. But, we sit down, we talk, I hear about what your symptoms are, and then we do some testing. So, what I use in my office in terms of the frequency are these vials. So, the vials contain water, alcohol for sterility, and then the energetic imprint of whatever we're working with. So, I have different substances in my office, from foods to hormones, to food additives, heavy metals, so various substances. So when we test, we do everything through muscle testing. So when your body recognizes a substance, you will visibly be able to see that it strengthens that muscle. When you hold something to your body and it doesn't recognize it, you can see that it'll visibly weaken you too. So what is happening is when you hold something to, we use the fingers when we test in the office. When you hold something to the arm and the body recognizes it, it actually pulls all the electrons to that muscle to strengthen it. Now, when you hold something to your body that your body doesn't recognize, it pulls all the electrons away from that muscle and it actually will physically weaken you. So we'll do this type of testing in the office to determine, what that person's specific body needs.
And like, how long does that test take? Like to, or I should say, like, how long is the reaction? Like to see what.
Yeah, it's immediate. So we don't have to do any pricks or scratch tests, which is great for people who don't like needles or for kids. So I do see quite a few kids in my office too, because, it no kid likes to be poked, right? Whether it's for blood tests or even for scratch tests. The scratch test can be, pretty uncomfortable because again, they're injecting things into the skin to see if there's going to be a reaction and then record, how large of a reaction you've had to that substance. So, so yeah, we do all of the testing. We determine, what the body needs to be balanced on, and then we do the a session right after the testing. I use the machine to gently balance the body. The machine has like I would call it a wand, I guess, where I tap specific acupuncture points, and then it delivers that frequency back to the body so that it recognizes it.
Okay. And what's the like length of that, like of being in the machine?
So that part itself, it's really for during a first session, it's really the testing that takes a little bit more time, just depending on what people have going on. The actual BIE session itself is really short. It's about maybe less than 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really short. I tap, just different acupuncture points across the body. It delivers, that frequency. And then we usually go back and we retest all of the things that weakened them, and they'll be shocked because their body will be strong to them right within that same session. I know that
Oh,
probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but we kind of figure out, okay, what weakens you? And they'll visibly see it, they'll visibly feel it. We'll go and, balance the body with the machine. Then we'll come back and retest those same things that they tested weak to, and they will test strong. So that just shows, oh, okay, I didn't recognize it before, whatever substance we were working with. And after the balancing, oh, now I do recognize it. So they can see right on the spot the
okay.
result.
So that where you determine if you need a follow-up session, or do you usually generally recommend just follow-up sessions just to make sure that everything
Yeah.
is good?
Yeah. So I always recommend at least one follow-up just to make sure that the body is holding on to whatever we worked on. So it can take between 1 and 4 sessions for your body to normalize and recognize even just one stressor. So we don't always just work with one. We usually work with a few things at one time. But in some cases, we find a lot of things that we need to work on. Some people come in with, not just one problem, but multiple issues. So it's not just going to be, that can't just be fixed in 1 or 2
Mm.
sessions. So really, it's just based on the person, their hydration levels, their stress levels, the strength of their immune system, and even the degree of intolerance that they have to that substance. So there is a variety of factors, that come into play.
And then like once toleration is like developed, like does it ever happen where like it comes back, or like is that a thing, or is that not a thing? Like once it's been fixed, like it's rare for it to make it come back, or like whatever they were working with.
So it could be, again, it's again usually related to stress. So unless you are like you're in a stressful situation, and I don't want to just say that it's emotional stress. It's also physical stress. So, even lack of sleep or dehydration, those are stressors to our body. Even going to an amusement park and going on a roller coaster, like that might be fun, but it's still a stress to our body. So, it's possible that you can develop an intolerance or an allergy again to a certain substance. Just, it just depends on whether or not your body, again, will see it as something harmful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad that you also added that part because yeah, when people think stress, you think, oh, it's just
Yeah, they
like a
think
mental
emotional
stress.
stress. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't think about the physical stress. Pregnancy is a huge stress on our body. You hear a lot of pregnant women like, "Oh, when, before I was pregnant, I could eat this or that, and then after pregnancy, like I wasn't able to eat these things. Like I had a reaction." So, any kind of physical or, emotional, mental stress can definitely cause you to, cause your body to see something as harmful even though it's not.
Oh, yeah. Well, now let's talk about like challenges that you faced in terms of like all things that you deal with. Like, what's maybe like some of the issues that you found to be the more like challenging ones, the ones that maybe take like a lot more sessions than like the average?
Yeah, I would say the ones that are most challenging for me are the individuals that come in with unexplained inflammation. There's something inflaming their body. It could be autoimmune. It could be, certain substances that they're either consuming or that they're exposed to. But it's about finding out what exactly is causing that reaction. So sometimes, it does, even with cases that are not as complicated, there's still a bit of detective work that we need to do. There's a bit of testing involved, figure out, okay, is it this, is it that? But yeah, I would say the most challenging is the ones that come in. Their labs show high levels of inflammation. They have joint pain and aches, but they haven't found out why. So my job is really to figure out, okay, what is it? So we do look at the body from the cellular level. We do try to look at different substances. Um, but yeah, even just non-complicated cases, it can still take some time to figure out what exactly is going on. I've had a client recently who initially thought, actually, I've had a couple of clients recently who initially thought that certain foods were the cause of their digestive issues. And as we were testing the foods, like they were testing fine to all the foods. So what I'll also check is different enzymes, different digestive enzymes to digest carbohydrates, proteins, what else was it? Fats, stomach acid, things like that. And so that's what ended up coming as being what they were deficient in, what their body wasn't recognizing. So it can be even hormones or enzymes that your body is producing. So if your body doesn't recognize even a certain hormone or a certain substance or enzyme within the body, it's not going to produce it. Right? Why would it produce something that it doesn't recognize? So, they may be lacking, the enzymes to digest, fats or carbohydrates. Two of my clients recently, we tested all the foods, we tested the enzymes. We did find a couple enzymes that their body was lacking, but the main thing was probiotic strains, so the different gut-friendly bacteria. So their body wasn't recognizing that. So sometimes people, if that's you, where you're taking a probiotic and you're thinking, I'm doing something good for my gut, I'm doing something great for my health, and it's actually making things worse, most likely your body isn't recognizing those probiotics, even though they're good for you. So it can be even good things that your body just fails to recognize. So that's why taking the probiotic would make it worse, right? Because your body's like, what is this? And so then it mounts an immune response because that's what your body's designed to do. So it can cause more inflammation in the gut than you intended. So for a few of the clients that I've seen recently, it wasn't necessarily the foods that I had to balance for them. It was the enzymes and the probiotics.
Wow, wait, that's really insightful. It's really uh, good knowledge for people to know, right? Because it is true. Sometimes you might think, I think I'm allergic to this. I think this is what's
Yeah.
doing that. But even the good can not be so good, right? I'm sure. I mean, until you reverse that, and then they can keep taking whatever probiotic they were taking before, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. I guess another reason why maybe we shouldn't always just look at the packaging and always just assume like this is going to be good for me, right? And
Mhm.
and always think of those. So I'm glad that you're able to like pinpoint what the issue was, right? But I'm sure they tell you everything that they're consuming, right? And maybe when it happens, because I mean, for some people it's instantaneous, right? An allergic reaction, and I'm sure for others like
Yeah.
it's a little slower, right?
Yeah. And the other thing too that, I've seen a lot of lately are these tests. These more recently, this hair follicle testing has been really popular lately. So, you pull some strands of hair and it tests, and tells you all the things that you're deficient in. It gives you foods to follow. I don't know how accurate it is, but okay, you have all this information. So I had one client bring me her report and it said she was deficient in amino acids. So amino acids are really important proteins that your body needs. We call them the building blocks of life because they help you do so much. They help you digest food, repair tissue, create hormones and enzymes. So they're so critical to the body. So usually if you're deficient in something, more likely you're probably intolerant to it. Same thing for people with anemia. They're low on iron, right? Well, why are they low on iron? most likely because their body's not recognizing the iron.
Mhm.
So it's more, even if we're giving the person more amino acids or giving them iron, it might help some, but your body's not going to be able to hold on to it. So it's kind of like a bucket with holes. You're pouring the amino acids in, you're taking it as a supplement, you're taking iron, you're getting iron infusions, but it's just your body's dumping it right back out because it doesn't recognize it.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that too. Now it makes me question my own vitamin D deficiency, and I'm sure with other people as well. Maybe it's just it could be that, right? All these
Yeah,
like
maybe your body's not recognizing the vitamin D.
yeah, and then it also, I mean, as going back to the doctors and all that, I think, I mean, you could tell me more about what you've heard, but it just, I think, from a patient perspective, it always just seems like doctors have a thing against holistic approaches, and I'm sure, I mean, there's other things that entail that, and all the pharmaceutical companies and all that, but like, what has your experience been like, and like the people that come to you, like, do they get tired of maybe taking all these like medications that the doctors prescribe and they're just not seeing results, or like what do you typically hear from people in terms of like their doctor once they go to your center?
Yeah, I think a lot of people come to me because they don't like the solution that they've been given. And, there's, medicine, there's a time and place for it. But I think what we're seeing a lot of today is that people are just being prescribed a pill. You got diabetes, here's a pill. Here's insulin. You got high cholesterol, here's a pill. You don't have a period, get on birth control pill. But those things don't actually solve the problem. And I think a lot of people are wanting solutions, not band-aid fixes, which is kind of what they are. What I love about BIE is that we're able to kind of get to the root of what is causing a lot of these symptoms in the first place.
Yeah, which I mean, I think everyone going to the doctor, that's what they're hoping to get, right? That's what they. I think people normally aren't like it. Just like solve the symptom temporarily. It's more like no,
Yeah.
give me a solution, right? To what I'm dealing with too. So
Yeah.
it's a shame that they don't do that. I don't know if they'll ever do that, just because again, all these other factors that entail what goes on
Right.
there. But I'm glad that you're able to introduce BIE here to a community. It's a shame that like we didn't even have this. Like at least I don't know anywhere else. I can't speak for like the rest
Yeah.
of the 209, but as you were saying, they're just like in Stockton. Being the biggest city that we have here, it's like it's a shame that it wasn't there. But I'm glad that you're introducing this and you can help people out, because people spend so much money on all these things, right? I mean, I know people that have allergies that are spending so much money to treat, like you said, or I shouldn't say, to like relieve, right, themselves from all
Yeah.
these symptoms and all the seasons that have all these allergies, right, that come with it, right? All the pollen,
Right.
the all these like things that we deal with here in the valley that just make the allergies worse. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad.
I would say too that the medical community is kind of coming around to it too. I actually have a couple of doctors, quite a few nurses as clients. So people are starting to look for solutions for themselves, even if they are in the medical community. Even if they are working in the medical community too. So yeah, it's I think it's coming around. I think holistic health is really coming up.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that too. I mean, of course, they're like on the inside, and they they're like, well, we know this is good too. Yeah, so I'm glad
Yeah.
they're able to go there, and then hopefully also share the knowledge with their patients and get you
Yeah.
some more referrals and
Yeah.
make it all happen there too. Um,
Mhm.
well, I want to know in terms of like, let's talk success stories. I know I talked about the challenging part. Now let's talk about those like stories. Anything that you like to share of like some patients that have had maybe a difficult situation, and by going through BIE, it's helped them treat that.
Yeah, so a lot of people that have just been weren't able to have certain foods, dairy, certain melons, certain fruits, nuts, things like that. They're now able to have them again. I do actually have quite a few clients that suffer from psoriasis and eczema and hives, and that has helped just completely eliminate, their symptoms with, their skin comes in very dry, patchy, scaly, bumpy, and you'll be surprised at just how clear and smooth and well healed their skin is after they've completed their sessions. And more recently, I think one of the biggest stories, at least for me, was within my own family. So my husband last month got ocular shingles, which is shingles that affects the eye. And it was very painful. I think anyone that has had shingles knows how painful and how just horrible it is. I've never had it, thankfully, but I have known people that have had it, and it's horrible. It's painful, and there's really no solution for it. And they say, it'll probably take between 5 to 6 weeks or more to resolve. And so, my husband, at some point, I'm going to post the pictures of his progress, his healing journey, because he ended up starting with a few blisters on his forehead. They didn't look like much. I didn't even know that it was shingles. And then suddenly it started affecting his eye. They started getting worse. There was more blisters that showed up. They eventually burst on their own too. So it left a lot of scarring on his face. But the worst part for him was this horrible pain in his head. It's nerve pain. So you can imagine how painful it is. So here in my office, I worked with him on the things that I could. What causes shingles is the herpes zoster virus. So in my office, we do have vials that can, for different viruses as well. And so we introduced that virus, the frequency of that virus to his body, in addition to some other things like cranial nerves. We also did, of course, some supplements as well, but I know that it definitely helped reduce the pain and helped him heal a lot faster. So he had no more pain after about 3 weeks, which is relatively fast compared to most people that have the shingles. So usually it's like 5, 6 or more weeks that they're dealing with the pain and the itching and the discomfort. So that's the most recent success story in my eyes, that just came right from in my own family.
Wow. Yeah, no, that sounds painful for sure. I mean, any kind of itch, but yeah, if it's in the head, it just wow, and especially
Yeah.
so close to the eyes too. Like, oof,
Yeah. I've
yeah.
never he tolerates pain so well, but I've never seen him in that much pain.
Oof, yeah. Well, another great usage for what you do, and it's nice that there's so many different things that it can help treat,
Yeah.
right, and just help make everyone's lives a lot better.
Yeah.
Because that's a significant amount of time. I mean, even dealing with it a whole day is a lot. So if you could shrink that by 3, 4 weeks, then
Yeah.
that makes a big difference for people. Uh,
Absolutely.
so I want to talk about the community. Do you go out to events in the community? Do you do any like education, like seminars, maybe webinars? Do you do anything here in the community and
I
maybe future
haven't
events?
I haven't quite done webinars or seminars yet. We've talked about it with other just practitioners that are here in Stockton, San Joaquin County, about possibly getting together to maybe do something like that in the future, like some type of health and wellness type of event. I have done a couple pop-ups where I'll do allergy testing, food allergy testing, just for people to see and kind of test it out for themselves, what the muscle testing feels like, or even just to confirm what foods they could potentially be reacting to. So I've done a couple of those. I'm actually going to be doing one in September. I think it's for an organization though. So I think it might just be for their employees.
Okay. Well, that's good to also mention, right? So you also go and do things for organizations that want to also like have that and
Yeah.
offer it as a wellness option, right, for their
Yeah,
employees.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If they just want to just help out their employees as just like a little bonus and offer free food allergy testing, that's just one great thing that I think a lot of people are just interested in, because they want to find out, is it this, sometimes I don't feel so good when I have this food, am I gluten,
Mm.
we a lot of people have reactions to that. And one of my clients, she thought that she had an issue with gluten. Um, and it wasn't that. It was the enzymes and the probiotics that she was not recognizing that was causing that distress, causing it to be harder for her to break down the gluten and the starch.
Oh, well, that was a good that was a good thing for her to know, right? Because I know
Yeah,
it can be pricey to be on a gluten-free diet, and
absolutely.
also tough to find I mean, thankfully, there's more places now, but even then, still, it's
Right.
like the asking, "Is this gluten-free or not?" And it's
Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of a hassle, and yeah, it doesn't taste the best. If you wanna have a piece of bread, like, nothing beats, just regular bread.
Oh, yeah, I've tried some of it, like, I'm not, like, seeking gluten-free options for, like, health purposes, but just to, to test out and see what it tastes like, and yeah, it's it's not the same, yeah, or you try pizza, like, it just I
It's
think it
not.
doesn't do well with ingredients, yeah. Um, well, got 2 more things here, I wanna know, like, I know you've had your business here for, like, 2 years or, about 2 years right here, what are your, like, future business goals? Like, what's your future vision? Do you plan on hopefully someday maybe opening up, like, a bigger office or maybe other locations around the 209 or elsewhere? Like, what's your future plan?
Yeah, so right now it's just me. So I'm the receptionist, I'm the practitioner, I'm the owner. My husband does help me out a lot. He's my tech support, he's my CEO, he's my accountant, he's my right hand. But in terms of day-to-day operations, it's just me right now. So yeah, I think one day I would like, in the future to have a receptionist and possibly expand and have a bigger clinic. And even for other people that are interested in health and wellness, if you're interested in doing something like this or adding it to your practice, like I would love to have a clinic with multiple practitioners, right? Because I can't see everyone, and we don't want to have people waiting, months or weeks to be seen. So, having more people to do what we do, also share, and as this grows and as more people get to hear about it and experience the results for themselves, like I think there is going to be a need for more practitioners. So hopefully, I think that's the bigger vision and the goal one day is to have a bigger clinic, multiple practitioners, to be able to see as many people and help as many people as possible.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we need more people, so if anyone listening, watching now, or if anyone knows of anyone, just share this episode because, we can't have you do everything because like you say, you can only do so much, and there's a lot of people that are dealing with so many different issues, and if you can get
Right.
more people in the office, I mean, that would be amazing for them to be able
Yeah.
to
And just
not wait
offer
too
other
long.
fun stuff too, like offer, red light therapy or just sound bath. Like there's just so many great holistic, type of services that are so beneficial to the body. I don't believe in just one modality. I believe that, you can have a team around you to help you heal. And that could be a massage therapist, a chiropractor, an acupuncturist. So I love all modalities.
Yeah, oh yeah, sound baths are good. Actually, like I tried one out too, and someone I know actually was dealing with some back pain, and that that helped it. So it is
Amazing.
that works as well. So I'm glad that you're looking at like maybe other options, expanding, and give people different options, right? Whatever it is that
Yeah,
they want to go through, and choose choose your treatment, right? And it's all just a
exactly. Yeah.
holistic approach. So
Making it more mainstream too. Like, I'm just going in for my colonic or which is like colon, it's like colon cleansing. They kind of, clean out your colon, like just make it more normal because, it's important to do these things.
oh, yeah. I don't know if you've thought also maybe, like, partnering with, like, anyone who's, like, in the natural world as far as, like, natural, like, drinks, and I know there's quite a few
Mm,
businesses around there, different people that do different, drinks, like, I mean, detox is, like, the first one that comes up, right, to me, and
yeah.
and, like, different things like that, but maybe that could be another option too, right? Maybe having them
Yeah.
have their place there.
Yeah, I would love that. I love like juice cleanses, detoxification plans. I love it. I'm here for all of it.
Yeah, so, hey, the more the better too. Now, I actually, now that we mentioned that too, are there, like other like natural like businesses, maybe not just in Stockton, but I know, I mean, there's a few of them that I've heard of, but just in the area that you would recommend as far as like if people want to go and have like natural, like buy natural stuff and all that, maybe aside from Sprouts, because that might be like the one people might think about here, but like more the local owned like businesses.
Yeah, if you want any, natural products or just a variety of like healthcare things, you can check out Greens on Pacific and also Artesian Health Foods over in Lincoln Center in Stockton. I know both of the owners. They're amazing, so knowledgeable. And I have to give a shout out to my friend Patrick over at Max Athletics. I personally have a team of people around me. So I have an acupuncturist, I have a chiropractor, I have a massage therapist. These are people that help me be well. And then another one is Patrick. He does something called RPR. So it's kind of difficult to explain, but he does something very similar to what I do, except for the body. So he kind of figures out, what muscles are turned off or not firing properly, and he resets them to get them turned on again. And so I had a shoulder pain that I was doing all of those things for. I was doing acupuncture, I was seeing my chiropractor, I was doing massage, and it all helped, but it just wouldn't go away. And so in one session, Patrick fixed that. Literally one session. So he's been doing some amazing things. I've sent a few clients to him, but it's called, what he does is called RPR. I believe it's called Reflex Performance Reset. So amazing, really, really cool stuff. So check him out too.
Nice. I'm glad that you have all these different recommendations for people, and I've actually been to Greens before, and it is a really great like little spot there off Miracle Mile. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned them. Well, one last thing here before we thank you again for being on the episode and sharing all this like great knowledge, because I've learned a lot. People listening, watching have for sure learned a lot, and hopefully are going to book an appointment as soon as they finish watching, or maybe as they're like watching or listening, they're like, we gotta go and book an appointment because they probably have to wait a while, right? Or like there might be a lot of bookings there, like, so do it ASAP. But where can people follow the business and reach out to you if they have additional questions and just find out what you have going on?
Yeah, so you can visit my Instagram at valleyallergywellness.com. I also have a Facebook. My website has a lot more information that you can at least read about and just, try to understand a bit more about what I do. I did want to mention that First Responders Day is September 11th. So for the entire month of September, if you're a first responder, you get 20% off an initial visit when you mention code superhero20 as a thank you for your service to our community.
Nice. Oh, that's a great discount. I mean, they do so much for us. I'm glad that you are dedicating the
Yeah.
month, not just one day. I mean, they should have the whole year dedicated, really,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's amazing all different things that they all do, and they chose those careers. Like
Yeah.
I applaud them. I'm like, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for choosing that. Um,
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Deborah, this has been really awesome. I'm glad that you joined, you accepted the invitation. Again, thank you to Nico for referring you, because it's really great to know that there's options for people to choose the holistic side and give the holistic approach an opportunity, and know that there's definitely solutions for them, and you not only have to solve your symptoms temporarily, or maybe, I mean, some medications don't even help with the symptoms,
Yeah.
and you have to take 10 pills or whatever to like help with allergies. And so I'm glad that there's options for people on that. First of all, they can actually stay here local. They don't have to drive to
Right.
LA like you had to like drive all the way down there to be able to do this. And then it becomes a lot more difficult for people to even give it a try, right? If they have to go so
Right.
far. So yeah, thank you again. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was really fun.
Well, thank you again to my guest here for being on the podcast. A lot of insightful knowledge here. And again, if you guys want to go check out Valley Allergy Wellness, go check her out, valleyallergywellness.com, or on social media. Also follow so you see what events she's at and what she has going on there as well. Um, Also, y'all, if you can follow the 209 Journey on Facebook and Instagram, you can get a follow at the 209 Journey. Visit the 209journey.com also to check out the episodes, whether you want to listen to them, watch them. That's another place if you don't want to download an app or if you don't want to go on YouTube. The YouTube videos are on there, and they get posted right away as soon as they are on YouTube as well. Also, if you want to contact me, that's a place to do it there. You can fill out the form if you have any questions to ask, comments, or if you want to be on the show, or if you know someone who could be on the show, fill that out. If you want to give me the whole story of what you have going on or what maybe a future guest you think should be on has, then feel free to put it on there. Again, it's all on the website, fill the contact form, and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm able to there on the website. Also, if you could do me a favor and subscribe to the podcast, if you're listening to me right now on a podcast app, there should be a button somewhere there to subscribe, so you can find out when new episodes get posted, because my posting schedule is all over the place right now. Sometimes I post on certain days at different times. So the best way to find out when new episodes get posted is to actually subscribe. Also to follow the socials, because I tend to share new episodes as soon as they're posted on there. But if you subscribe, you'll get the notification and you can actually go back and listen. Also, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you find out when those new episodes get posted. And so again, you get alerted when there is a premiere for a new episode. And so you could even utilize the live chat there to chat with others who might also be watching the premiere of that. And if you're on YouTube right now, you probably reached the final screen here. I usually have a button to subscribe to the page. I think the button to suggest another video to watch is like on my left side right here on the screen. And as I point, I'm pointing to like the right, or I'm pointing to the left, but I'm looking at me pointing to the right here. But the suggested video should be on there. It just randomly picks another video here. You can watch other videos that I've done, because I've done other video interviews as well. If you prefer to watch video, or again, if you prefer to watch audio, then on most of the podcast apps out there. But yep, thank you all for listening to the podcast tonight. I hope you have a good morning or good night whenever you're listening to this, and you'll hear me again next week here on the 209 Journey podcast.